Okay, it's recording. Yes. Hello. CD Rants Part 2. Today I watched Requiem of a Dream. I look really shiny. My computer's low-key fucked up. I low-key want to record without my glasses because you can see myself in my glasses. It's tripping me out. Anyway, Media and CD Rants. Today we're going to be listening. I know my phone's fucked up. We don't talk about it. I'm actually not putting a CD on because I'm going to see Bacteria today with some of my homies, local show, and I want to listen to their album. So we're doing that.
Where's the glasses?
I'm gonna turn it down.
That beer's gonna get warm. One thing I can't fucking stand is warm beer.
I love Bacteria. I want them to have CDs. I might burn it when I get my money's up, or if I get a burner for Christmas. But yeah, I watched Requiem for a Dream. Crazy ass fucking movie. Something I really appreciate about 2000s movies is I feel like their process is a lot more artistic, and like a lot of movies that we have nowadays, like it's very structured. Like you can see the rising action, every scene. I feel like it's very like thought through and like very processed. Or I feel like at least this movie, I was pretty far into the movie before I really like got the each plot line. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a turning point in the movie was definitely when he went to visit his mom. I'm gonna call her grandma because she grandma to me, but when he went to visit his mom and he found out that she was on uppers, I feel like that's really when shit went to fucking when it started flop. But I'm gonna tell y'all about the movie first. I say y'all if anybody's watching this. But so basically, the movie starts off, and it's a mom, and she locked herself in the bathroom because her son is stealing her TV. I'm like, what the fuck you stealing the TV for? He's taking the TV, and he went to like some pawn shop or whatever and like sold it and got the money, right? So he runs to his black friend. Don't remember his name, but he's played by Marlon Wayans, so we're gonna call him Marlon. So he goes to Marlon, and then they buy drugs, and then he's doing drugs with Marlon and his girlfriend Marion, right? And Marlon like hatches this crazy plot of like, hey, I know a guy who's gonna give us some like pure drugs. We can cut the drugs and then we can sell the drugs and then we'll make bank. I don't remember what they were saving to. I didn't really catch it, but I know that he as in Harry, the main character, as in his mom's son, he was trying to save up because he was telling his girlfriend Marion, oh, I'm gonna buy you a shop. We gonna buy you a shop because you're so creative and you love art and stuff. Da 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 da. Right? And they need some money to like start this whole elaborate drug selling plot up and to begin with. So he tells his girlfriend, "Hey, I need money, wink wink." And she's like, "Oh, but I can't talk to my parents. They're gonna cut me off because I haven't been to my therapist in months." I think that's what she's calling the guy. It's like her John. But she's like, I haven't seen my therapist in months. And he's like, "Babe, please, like I'll give you your shop and everything. Like we just need a startup money." So she's like, "Fine." And she goes, and it's like an allegory. Like, something I really like about this movie is that it started off with them alluding to a lot. It was very vibrant. It was very bright and colorful. Like, they weren't flat out saying anything was going on. You kind of had to read between the lines a little bit. And I feel like modern movies, like if this movie was made now, it would not have done that at all. It flat out would have been like, yeah, I'm gonna go pop my pussy for money. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't have been like as illusionary, because I didn't even catch that she was popping her cookie for money until further into the movie. Like I thought for a split second that was what she was doing, but like it wasn't as obvious as it was later on, if that makes sense. Another thing. Oh yeah. Gotta continue the plot. So then they're actually selling drugs and they're starting to make money. Like it seems like they're actually gonna turn things around, right? But then, like I said earlier, he went to go visit his mom. Oh, I didn't explain the plot with his mom. So his mom, she loves TV. She's watching TV. She wants to be on TV. She gets a phone call, and the guy on the phone is like, "Wake up, Mamacita. You're about to be on television, girl. I'm gonna send you some stuff in the mail to let you know when, but you've been picked." And she's like, "Oh my god, yes, I've been on TV, bitch. I'm gonna go on TV, yes." Like she's getting hype and everything. And there's this red dress that she has, and I feel like her addiction to the red dress represents like her clinging on to the past, clinging on to a time where she was happy, perhaps. Because, well, I'll get there. I'll circle back. I probably won't, but I'll circle back. But anyway, so she's really like, she goes to try on this red dress from like this firm that she wore to her son's graduation when her husband was still alive, and it doesn't fit. She's like, damn, I'm big as fuck. Fuck. I gotta look good at me on TV. And so she goes to one of her older friends and they like bleach her hair and stuff. And she's like, I gotta look good. I'm about to be on TV. Like, I finna be in the pit, you know? So they bleach her hair and her friend is telling her, she's like, well, if you want to lose weight to fit in your red dress, you gotta try this grapefruit and eggshell diet. Like, it's really tea. Like, your body, like, you finna be snatched, girl. And so she's like, oh, okay, okay, okay. So she tries it, hates it. She's sitting on the television. She's sitting down watching TV. She hallucinating burgers, puff pastries. She's thinking about coffee. Her refrigerator is vibrating and like barking at her. And she's like, oh, Lord have mercy. So she grabs her little chair and she runs outside to her gal pals and she's like, guys, like I've been on this grapefruit diet and it's so great. Lying. Because they're all like talking about dieting and stuff. Like these are older ladies, older women. And you know how it'd be for them. And then one of her friends is like, oh, well, my daughter, she like lost 30,000 pounds because she went to this doctor and he gave her some pills. This was like Ozempic before Ozempic. But she got these pills and she dropped the weight. She wasn't even hungry no more. And she was like, she wasn't hungry. So Miss Grandma, she was like, okay, you know, let me get on that because I've been thinking about food and I would like to not be hungry so I could fit into my dress, you know. So she tries the grapefruit diet once more and she's like, man, I'm sick of this shit. And so she calls her friend. She's like, hey, give me that doctor's number. She goes to the doctor. Doctor gives her 4 pills she got to take a day. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 at lunchtime, and 1 before bed. Or actually, yeah, one before bed. The lunchtime one, it might have been dinner, but I'm unsure. But I know it was 4 for sure, and they were like different colors and shit. And so she was tracking and writing it down, right? And another thing I really, really liked about this movie was just kind of how they like visually showed like the way different drugs kind of feel. Because I feel like everybody does psychedelics, or not like that. Everybody shows psychedelics and how they work the same way. Like it's always the trippy, like crystals, like kind of like mandalas. Is that what it's called? I think it's a mandala. Like kind of how like this they do stuff like that, but it's like colorful. Shut up, fluids. I love fluids. Um, that kind of thing. But I like that they like kind of showed non-hallucinogenic drugs in a different way because, well, I'll speed it up and get to the turning point so we can circle back. But she ends up meeting her son ends up coming to visit her after things are like going good for him, and he's like, "Hey, ma, you know," because once they're starting to get money, he's like, "Oh, I want to buy my mom a gift because I feel bad for like selling her TV all the time and stuff, making her hassle for it and whatnot." And so he goes and he's like, hey, mom, I'm about to gift you a new TV. Haha, girl. And then she's like, oh, okay, period. And she's like, she is very energetic. Like, she's running around the house, bouncing off the walls metaphorically and shit. You know what I'm saying? And then he's like, ma, what the fuck? What is wrong with you? And she's like, oh, I've just been taking this medicine. Da, da, da. He's like, you're on uppers? You're on uppers? And she's like, no, it's not uppers, man. It's a doctor. And then she's asking him, she's like, how you know all this information about drugs? How you know all this about drugs? And he's like, you just, you just need to stop taking them shits. And then she's like, fuck you, nigga. My doctor gave it to me. Or whatever. Which is super funny. But, well, it's not funny. It's actually very sad. But yeah, circling back to what I was saying now, I like their demonstration of like how different people would act on different drugs, because I feel like there was a moment where, at least I think it was weed that he was smoking, because he was like rolling up before they showed this, but like it was him. He had on headphones. He was just rocking out, jamming. He got up a couple times, sat down, was moving his legs and shit, stemming and stuff, and I think he was on weed, but like the speeding up for that drug versus when I think they were, every time they'd like shoot up, there was more of a color difference. Things were very bright, but it was still relatively slow. We didn't really see that speed up that we saw with other drugs that they were taking. And then for the mom, she's on uppers, a stimulant. I googled this, and she was bouncing off the walls, running around the house. She cleaned her whole house. She was cleaning behind the paintings. I never ever would think to clean behind a painting. Like this shit. Maybe I'm not gonna say that, but like, I was like, oh, I thought that was really interesting because I feel like them choosing to like represent the different drugs that way, it kind of puts you in the movie, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, I would never know what it feels like to be on uppers because I'm not doing uppers. The fuck, but like for her, they kind of like showed that, and it was more immersive. Let's just put it like that. It was more immersive, which I liked. Think Euphoria, like how they would represent with like glitter and shit. It was kind of like that, but like no glitter and like different speeds and stuff, you know. But anyway, film goes on. Everybody starts losing the plot. Grandma is sitting, and before where she was looking at the TV and she was having a blast, she couldn't sit still. She was sitting still and she wasn't stimulated enough. So she called her doctor and she's like, "Girl, I think you gave me a less potent dose because ain't shit happening. Like I feel the same." And the doctor's like, "Oh no, you're just getting used to it, girl. Like that this is what's supposed to happen." She's like, "Are you sure? Because I don't think this is supposed to be like this. Like I don't feel nothing." And she's like, "Yeah, just shut the fuck up and just take the fucking pill, bruh." And then she hangs up the phone. And so Miss Grandma is like, "I'm gonna just take two just to be sure." Terrible idea. Because throughout the whole movie, she's hallucinating, you know, and I'll circle back to that later, but transitioning over to the other people's stories, I look at you, blow my nose. Other people's storylines, the boy, Harry, I didn't know they were shooting up. Cause like I said, I'm new to this. I'm not true to this. I don't know nothing about drugs. I've only smoked weed and I've only done acid. And I'm not even smoking weed anymore. I have an edible, but like I'm honestly scared to take it. But anyway, that's not the point. That's not the point. So he he what did he do? Yeah, so turning point, he ends up they're out of drugs because Marlon goes to get more drugs to sell and he's about to get a promotion. But then an Italian nigga in the front seat turns around and shoots the deaf boy, which love representation. Okay, black deaf people pumping drugs, period. You can be anything you want to be, entrepreneurship. But like, they just started blasting. And so he runs out the car and he got like arrested and his like little homie like paid bail for him and stuff. Sorry, I really gotta blow my nose. I'm sorry. Oh, Lord have mercy. Ooh. Sorry, chat. I'm healing from a sinus infection. Ooh, okay. Put that in a trash can. Anyway. Ooh, I'm sorry, y'all. Ooh. Okay. Anyway. So he gets arrested and they spent all the money, or I think they spent most of the money on bail, but they're also spending a lot of the money that they saved in a box on more drugs because they're junkies. Hello? Well, I won't say junkies. Maybe that's mean. But like they're addicted. And so a huge turning point is his girlfriend. She's like, I don't have any drugs. We don't have any drugs. You did all the fucking drugs, you dumb bitch. I fucking hate you, bitch. And then he's like, well, if you want some more drugs, go. Ooh, I was about to say something crazy. He was like, go talk to your therapist then. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Right? And this was like the first time in the movie we actually got to see what she was doing to get this money, right? And it's like, I thought it was so sad. She goes and she, like, you can tell that she obviously regrets it because she hallucinates stabbing him in the hand. I also like the way they showed, like, them hallucinating as, like, a good, like, they started to hallucinate more when they were going through withdrawal, and I thought that was very creative. I liked that they did that. I thought that was funky, fun, and fresh. But anyway, so she goes, and he's like, you haven't called me in a little while. And she's like, mm-hmm. And she's like, so what you need this money for? She's like, mind your business. So he starts kissing her and stuff, and it's very uncomfortable. This guy is very much a creep. And yeah, she gets to drugs, and they end up doing drugs. And so Marlon and them are still trying to pump drugs, out. So they're like, hey, we're gonna go to this place, and because they're selling, and they get there, and a random nigga pulls out a gun and starts shooting at the air, so they have to run away. You know what I'm saying? And so they launch this elaborate plot to go to Florida because they know that the drug dealers are from Florida, so they're gonna go to Florida and they're gonna get the drugs there, right? So Harry goes home and he tells his girl, "Hey, girl, I'm about to leave. I'm about to fly to Coop so we can get some more drugs to sell." And da da da. And she's like, "What the fuck? Why are you leaving this shit? Da da da. Like, I need drugs now. I need drugs now." And he's like, "Well, I'm fucking trying. If you have an idea, I'm pumping all the way here." Da da da. And so after that, she's like, "Fine." So he calls. He calls his homie and he writes down the number. She's like, and he tells her, he's like, "If you want drugs that bad and you don't want to wait for me to get them, here." And he gives her a phone number. He's like, "Go suck dick for it then." And she was like, "Oh." Right. So then he leaves and he's going to Florida with Marlon. Right. And she calls up the number and it's this big black dude, and her plotline was really sad. It made me really sad to see her like sell her body for drugs, especially because she was very ambitious. Like, I feel like throughout the whole movie, something that they did was like show that like it was sad to see her have ambitions and get roped into the drug usage. Harry didn't really have ambitions for real. I didn't really. At least they didn't make it obvious what his ambitions were. He mostly just wanted to support his girlfriend. And then Marlon's whole plotline was just that he missed his mom, and like I guess that's what led him to drugs. I don't know. I think I would need to like rewatch it because I was sewing. Whenever I'm watching these media, I'm engaging in something artistically, right? Because I'm not at a point in my attention span where like I can just make stuff. You know what I'm saying? I do like to consume a little bit of media while I'm making stuff. Like, hello, that's why I'm playing my CD. Well, it's also just so that there's background noise. But anyway, I got sidetracked. He, yeah. So she needs the drugs. And she's like, "I need them." And so she ends up calling up the guy, and she goes and she sucks his penis, and then she has drugs, and then yeah, that's her plotline. And then while she's sucking dick and getting dick money, yeah, she gets a phone call from him before she does this, or no, not before this, because he ends up telling her about this Sunday trip excursion where she can get even more money. And she was like, "Oh, I don't know, I'm not really into that." And then he was like, "I'm gonna see you Sunday, girl," because he knew what was up, which is sad. But anyway, so while she's sucking dick, he's driving to Florida, and they decide to shoot up again, right? So he pulls his sleeve back. He got this fat ass fucking rotten ass boil on his arm, and his homie Marlon, he's like, "Eee, yuck!" And so he's like, "No way you're about to shoot into that." And he's like, "Bitch, watch me," right? And he's like, "Chat, no way you're about to shoot into that." He's like, shooting into it and shit, right? So the car ride progresses, and he's like complaining about his arm. He's like, fuck, I shouldn't have shot into it, fuck, it hurts so bad, fuck. And Marlon's like, "Nigga, I told you." But he doesn't say it. But I know that's what he was thinking. So then he's like, "Okay, we're just gonna take you to the doctors. We're gonna take you to a hospital, right?" So they go to a hospital. The good doctor sees his arm, sees the boil, sees that he was doing drugs. And instead of helping him, treating him, he calls the cops. Which, I feel like they're not supposed to do that, right? Because I remember, like, nowadays, or at least I think nowadays, I don't know, I'm not the drug expert. Like I said, I don't do drugs. But I think now they treat you before they, like, try and penalize you. Because, I mean, I greened out really, really bad. That's a story time for later. And I had to, they called an ambulance, and I told them flat out, well, weed also isn't super legal in Virginia Beach. It is illegal, but it's not like illegal. Like, it's not like weed, it's like weed. Okay. But I also, they didn't, wait, well, I wasn't, I'm underage. I'm 18. Well, I'm 19 now, but I was 18 at the time. But they didn't call the cops. I didn't get arrested. So that's what's making me feel like, they treated whatever the fuck I had going on, and then I was released. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like there were no cops called. It was fire trucks and EMTs. So that's why I'm a little bit confused because why did they call the cops and not treat them, you know? And I feel like the whole maybe this wasn't really a theme in the movie, but because I'm woke, I'm the woker, that was kind of something I did take away was that like they were experiencing like they weren't getting help. There were opportunities where they should have gotten help, should have experienced more compassion, and they simply weren't. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like drugs are inherently addictive. You know what I'm saying? I personally cannot get mad at somebody for being addicted to drugs because it's very hard to pull away from. And especially in the case of like, well, especially Miss Grandma, like, you know what I'm saying? Her doctor's telling her that this is like a weight loss medication that's it's gonna help her lose weight. You know, how are you gonna get mad at her for being addicted to that? You know what I'm saying? It was prescribed to her by her doctor. How are you gonna get mad at her for that? Harry, I mean, Harry's a little crazy, but he still deserved to get treatment for his arm. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, whatever. Woke tangent, my fault. So then, Miss Grandma Girl, yeah. They go to the doctor. They end up getting arrested, and they're in the jail, right? And like that's when he ends up calling his girlfriend, and she's like, "Can you come see me?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Can you come see me?" And he's like, "Okay, I will." Knowing damn well he's not gonna see her because he's literally in jail. But he's like he's tweaking out because of his arm. Like he's very obviously has an infection, and it's like affecting his whole like nervous system and shit. Right? He's sick, and she's like, "Okay," hangs up the phone and decides to go suck dick anyway for some drugs. So she goes to this party and he's calling her maid Marion, which is so gross. This guy's so creepy. I hated him. But anyway, so she goes and he it's so bad because this is like a point in the movie where it's very chaotic. Like they're showing the intertwining of like different things. It's very cool. Y'all would like have to see it because I'm not my explanation is not going to do it justice. But she goes there, and there's a bunch of girls there too who are performing sexual acts for money and drugs, and they're yelling. They're like ass to ass, ass to ass. And so I'm sorry, I'm gonna laugh a little bit. They literally have a dual-ended schlingleberry, like a schlong. She one girl sticks it in her butt, lubes up the other end, and then she sticks it in her butt, and they're literally bumping purses. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, because it's like flashing in and out. Like while that's happening, we're getting flashes to Granny, and Granny she's getting all these treatments, and they're giving her electric shock therapy because she wouldn't eat the food, because duh, she's on weight loss medication. She's going through withdrawals from uppers. You know what I'm saying? So they made her sign medical malpractice, bro. It was stressing me out. But they made her sign, and I felt so bad. I'm like reacting like this because it made me feel really sad. But she was tweaking and geeking out, you know? And it was flashing between that and then also Harry in the hospital getting his arm amputated because in the jail they're going down the line to see who is okay for work. And the warden, he gets to Harry. Oh, y'all see my dog in the background? He gets to Harry and he's like, how do you say? He goes, "Oh, that nigga arm, yuck. Take him to the hospital." Ew. So he's getting his arm amputated because I guess that's the only solution. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. I just felt like y'all really had to amputate his arm. Like y'all could have maybe like cleaned the wound a little bit, you know, cut it open a little bit, give him like a wound wash. Like it had to be amputated. And you could tell it's an early movie because they didn't even try to do like CGI or nothing. Like they attached like a fake nub arm, but like you could still low-key see his arm underneath through the blanket, which I thought was funny. It definitely took me out of the illusion a little bit, but anyway, so he while it's flashed between her getting dick down, Granny getting electrocuted, him getting his arm amputated, then it's also Marlon pumping mashed potatoes, but he's going through withdrawal too because they were all junkies, right? So as he's mashing mashed potatoes, he ends up throwing up into the mashed potatoes. Gross. Don't want to think about it. But like, yeah. And so I was flabbergasted and appalled because like, yuck. It was gross as hell. But yeah. And the movie ends. It's really sad. It's really sad. Granny's end up in a psychic institution and she's imagining herself. It like ends with like her imagining her winning the game show and her son Harry comes out and she's like it's just happy. But that's where I wanted to give y'all the plot because a lot of what I'm gonna say about the movie, like my annotations. Welcome back to my commonplace book. I'm gonna make a video about this. I need to. Probably tomorrow. Maybe later. I don't know. I'm going to a punk show, so that first. So okay. I'm gonna turn the music up while I find something I want to share. Okay, yeah. I'm turning it back down. So, I like the way they showcase getting high. Also, feel bad for Granny. Maybe they're showcasing two sides of addiction because Granny is considering pills for TV. I also feel like his son is trying to do something to Grandma. I was really scared the son was gonna try and like hurt Grandma. Like I thought their whole plot was like to sell Grandma into like some crazy sex trafficking. Very grateful that didn't happen. But yeah. Um, I said the repetitions find me. Over 2,000 movies were so much more interesting visually. The coloring is far more vibrant too, and I love the art collages. Um, Pills are making her restless. Yeah, Grandma's on perks now too. I said, why is it like Adderall? LOL. She's sweating a lot too. She doesn't look happy anymore. It's messing with her jaw. Oh, I also said the nudity is intense. Yeah, because Marlon was with this sexy black chick and they were in the bed. They were like, I was like, oh my god, like they don't do that no more. And I was just flabbergasted. Yeah. Okay. Something I said, why is she trying to be like so hard? So I thought it was interesting that they showed kind of like I feel like there's multiple reasons why people get into drugs, but I feel like them showing why Granny got into drugs was very unique. I've never ever seen that done in a movie before. I feel like we don't even see older people battling drug addiction in media to begin with. So when she meets up with her son because he comes to her house, she ends up having like a breakdown and she's like, oh, I'm really looking forward to TV. Because he's asking her, he's like, why are you on these pills? Like, you don't need these pills, mama. And then she's like, well, you don't understand because you're young and you're ambitious. I'm alone. I have nobody. Your father's dead. Seymour, that's her father's name. You know what I'm saying? I don't have friends. TV is the only thing I have looking forward to. Like, I wake up out of bed, I look forward to this. It's why I do my dishes. It's why I clean my clothes. Fuck you, bitch. You don't understand. And all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And she's saying like how she really wants to be liked. And I kind of wrote like I don't know if y'all can see. It's also gonna be backwards, but I kind of like wrote like processing her why, cause something in my journey of self discovery, I'll actually show you, is trying to find my why I want to improve myself, why I want to create more, right? And it's just like asking yourself like why over and over, right? Why, what, who? Like I'll show you. This is it in my notebook, right? So I was kind of like examining her why, like why she's trying to use drugs and TV to feel better about herself. So it's a reason to get up and to move in the morning, going on TV, wanting to go because everyone will see and like her. She feels alone and like she has nothing else. I thought that that was very interesting because I feel like maybe a lot of people do turn to drugs because they're bored with their life. Because drugs do make things more fun. I mean, I've smoked weed before. You get on weed, you're giggling, you're kikiing, you're haha, you're with your homies, you're like, damn, like I really love y'all. Like drugs do that. They change your perception. They change, I won't say they change your reality, but they definitely change like how you're looking at reality in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like she's taking these pills And while they're not making her feel good, one, they're stimulating her, and two, the weight loss that she's seeing that the pills are working. It's motivating her to keep staying on them, if that makes sense. And I just thought it was interesting that they showed that side of drug addiction. Because, like I said, like we never really see older people battling that, right? And it's interesting that, like, you know, these drugs that can be prescribed for like something as simple as weight loss, you know what I'm saying, can be addictive too, right? I also Googled uppers and I was right. ADHD meds, I'm crying. Well, I don't know why I said that like that. Something's bad's gonna happen to Granny and I feel it. I was right. And then I wrote, okay, representation, black deaf kid pushing drugs. And then I said, he got shot. He got arrested. Crazy. This movie was very chaotic in like the mid section and even towards the end. I'm telling you, after he met up with his grandma, that's when it all went to shit. Anyway, it was definitely the turning point. His girlfriend also, I feel like we were seeing some like layers to her too, because they were in their bed and like it was a very beautiful scene. Because I'm trying to figure out like how to explain my interpretation of it. Like it was her in the center and it was him, and they were kind of like yinning and yanging like their heads, and surrounding them was all the collages and like art related pieces that she made while she was really motivated to get her shot, right? And she's explaining him, she's like, you're the only person that ever make me feel beautiful. You make me feel like a person, right? And I don't think that's authentic for him. I feel like she's more so speaking to the drugs, and what does he get for her? Drugs. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it was interesting to see like her ambitions like halo her in a way, and like I don't know, like she's so close to reaching them. Like they're there if she would just reach out. Yet she stays in the middle of the circle, which like you can't do nothing in the middle of a circle. You know what I'm saying? And it's like she could move if she wanted to, but she's so stagnant and stuck in these drugs, right? And it's like if she would pursue her dreams, maybe that could make her feel like an actual person. You know what I'm saying? I feel like yes, the drugs are also a problem, but I feel like it's like the intersection between her drugs and like her relying on him to feel satisfied. I feel like that was a good way of like showing that like drug addiction is bad. Well, yeah, obviously drug addiction is bad, but like, you know what I'm saying? You wanting to feel instant satisfaction and relying on drugs to feel that, it hinders you from doing the things that would actually be fulfilling, if that makes sense. Cuz I know this is not, I know the phone is not the same as drugs, okay? But I am going to use it as an example because, sorry, my friend Gina just texted me. I am going to use it as an example because why I'm even on my journey of self healing and self discovery to begin with is because I feel like my phone was stopping me from. Oh, my stomach hurts. Oh my god. I got like a bowel movement and it's moving. Ow, ow. Jesus. Jesus. Oh, that shit hurt. Fuck. Okay. Jesus. I had some sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are fighting back. Um, why I wanted to like cut my phone addiction, because I'm gonna show you what my phone looks like. I open my phone and it looks like this. You know what I'm saying? If I want to go to messages, I click that. I don't really have the app icons, right? We'll talk about that later. But why I wanted to even do that is because I felt like I wasn't creating as much as I used to because I was getting instant gratification from my phone. You know what I'm saying? I was just doom scrolling, right? And it was just sucking me further and further away from my goals and actually feeling satisfied with myself. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like when you are addicted to things like that kind of is a slippery slope of like you're getting satisfaction from that thing because it's quick and easy versus like things that might take a little while but are more fulfilling in different ways, if that makes sense. So I don't know, I was able to take away a deeper meaning of like addiction and make it more personal just because of that simple like her sitting surrounded by her dreams and ambitions but being unable to reach out because she's so hooked on drugs, she's so hooked on Harry and how he makes her feel instantly. And I don't even I'm gonna say it. I don't even think it was Harry. I think it was just the drugs that she liked. You know what I'm saying? Which period. Love that. Love that imagery. Well, not really. It's sad, but like I appreciate what they're doing. Oh, this is so funny. This is like my live reaction. Oh no, she's about to up the dose. No, Grandma, no, Grandma, no. I'm not even joking. That's verbatim what it says. I said, substance abuse kills no bueno. She's slimmer at what cost? Love the way they use camera speed to represent different feelings due to drugs. I think with my experience greening out, it definitely feels like the world speeds and slows, and I'd talk about that. Oh yeah, I could talk about it. Okay. When I greened out, this was like I have not smoked since then. I smoked once with my bandmates, and like I was so anxious, it gave me the worst like trip ever. So I have not smoked since. I'm scared to even like I said, I'm scared to even try and take an edible, cuz it's like my heart rate went up and my lungs hurt, and I'm scared that like the heart rate was the weed and that the chest hurting is just what made it worse. Maybe, I don't know, but whatever. I was in the ambulance because my heart rate shot up again. Like it was at 160 resting, right? And when I was in the ambulance, everything was moving so fast when my heart was beating fast, right? But when I got inside the ambulance, my lungs were so restricted. It felt like my chest was like falling in on itself, right? And I feel like that was definitely a moment where if I was being recorded, it would have been in slow motion because I was sitting there and I was heaving. I was like manually pushing my chest up. Like I had to manually focus on breathing. And this whole time I'm thinking to myself in my head, Miles, you gotta make it through. Miles, you gotta make it through because you're gonna go to VCU, you're gonna do all these things. Like, Miles, you're not about to die here. Like, your story is longer than this. Which is like a bunch of corny shit, but like, I don't care. People will tell me, Miles, you aren't actually dying. You were gonna be okay. No. No. I was not going to be okay. Like, you can't tell me how my body felt. I've greened out before. That was like, I would have died if I hadn't forced myself to breathe. Like, whatever. But it's just like them using camera slowing when she was in the hospital and like clearly going through withdrawal and like obviously not having a good time. I feel like it was nice to represent things that way. I feel like they were so creative in early 2000s movies with like how they represented things visually just because they didn't have things like, well, I won't say they didn't have like CGI and stuff, but like obviously CGI tech wasn't that good back then. So they had to rely on a lot more like editing effects that they could do. I don't know. I just thought that was dope. Um, they're addicted to drugs, kind of self-explanatory, Miles. Um, yeah, I like that they alluded to a lot of things. Um, they never flat out said what they were doing until it was too obvious for them to hide it, if that makes sense. And I feel like that was a good allegory for drug addiction too, because I feel like a lot of people treat it like a casual thing at first before it gets to a point where it's like genuinely hindering your life. You know what I'm saying? Because in the beginning of the movie, like it seemed like they were just shooting up, which terrible. I didn't know they were shooting up, but it was like I thought that they were just like getting high. And then like as the movie progresses, it's like they actually started to say the things that they were doing. It actually showed the things that they were doing. Like, I don't know how to explain. It was like at first you were getting flat out. It might have just been like you seeing somebody else in like a store versus like you being in that person's shoes and you seeing how they got to the store. You know what I'm saying? The thought process behind getting to the store, if that makes sense, right? So I did like that they do that because it was more immersive. Like I was getting sucked into the movie. I was like, what? As the movie was going on and shit. I don't know. It was just really cool. I really liked how this was filmed. Um, yeah. I also wrote "Don't do drugs" in here, in like all caps. Another thing I liked. I like them hallucinating bad things before they get high versus after when they disappear. They as in the hallucinations. The hallucinations got worse with their dependence at this point in the film, which, when paired with long term drug usage, makes sense as an allegory. Things visually changed color too, depending on when the film started off. Oh, visually changed color too, depending as what went on. And the film also started off very vibrantly. So what I was wrote down here was that like all of them were hallucinating. Well, I won't say all of them. It was mostly Harry and his mom, but Marlon was hallucinating. Oh, no, everybody was hallucinating. I changed my mind. You could see how like their dependence on drugs was getting worse when they started hallucinating a lot more. And I also just feel like hallucination as like an allegory. I know I'm going to say that so much, but like a lot of this was like dual meanings, I feel like double entendre, where it was just like, yes, they're hallucinating, but like that's also representing their withdrawal. Because Harry started hallucinating, he was sitting on the couch, right? And things were all murky and like deep in color. But it cut to like that scene where it shows like them doing drugs and stuff. And then he was happy his hallucinations stopped, right? And then for grandma, she was getting crazy fuck ass hallucinations where it was like the people on the TV were in her room and they were all dancing around and being like, haha, laughing at her and stuff. I'm saying, as now, she wasn't going through withdrawal. I feel like what she was going through was like an overdose because she was taking too much. You know what I'm saying? And her hallucinations were definitely the most intense when she was ODing versus the other people's hallucinations when they were withdrawing. So kind of just, I feel like the hallucinations were like showing what was going on drug wise. Do you guys see my lamp? Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Yeah, I just thought that was dope. Um, yeah, fridge yelling at her. Oh yeah, I like the fridge as like a metaphor. The fridge was yelling at her, and I feel like that was a good metaphor for like the hunger she's suppressing, trying to like jump out at her. And then it's also just like the way the people in the TV started to jump out and like laugh at her. It was like she was so worried about people laughing at her and like looking good versus her actually feeling good, right? And it's like as she's trying to watch the TV and imagine her goals, like where she wants to be, her fridge is yelling at her, it's barking at her. You know what I'm saying? And that's like her hunger that she's suppressing. I'm not doing a good job of explaining this. But anyway, whatever. It makes sense to me, so fuck y'all. No, I'm kidding. Um, yeah. And she felt the need to like explain herself too, which I thought was interesting. I don't know. I was very grateful for the self love plot line that they had. Oh yeah, da da da. Tom was infected, da da da. A good job displaying how scary the hospital is for her. Yes. So this is the segment where I get woke. They did a really good job of like showing how the hospital's birth times, but like how the people who were supposed to help them were actually hurting them in a way. Because for the hospital people, this is probably a routine thing. This is probably not their first overdose. This is probably like, okay, damn, they were very obviously following protocol, right? And it was scary for her because she doesn't know these people, she doesn't know what's going on, and they weren't taking the time to explain to her simply because she was like, the overdose had like really had her tweaking out. Like, she was off a perky erky and it was affecting her mentally. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah. And it just was making me think because like I think that sometimes medical people like in these hospitals, like it's a hard job for sure because not only are you're dealing with people who this is probably the worst day of their life like ever, and you have to be compassionate, and it's probably so hard to like find compassion multiple times a day. Which I know sounds terrible, but like constantly have to be like, oh, you're gonna be okay, sweetheart. Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Like have to deal with people's panic so constantly. Sorry, I started listening to music. I know my chins are poking out. Maybe if I do like this. Yeah, I don't know. It just made me upset. And then also when they made her, like, they didn't force the signature, but he was like, we're gonna try this to make you feel better, da 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 da, and wasn't properly explaining to her. Because he's just said ECT. I'm like, ECT? I know this nigga is not talking about electric therapy. Because I was putting the dots together. I didn't know what the fuck the C was, but I knew it was something electric. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, and then she signed. Like, she didn't even know what she was signing. And they didn't do a good job of, like, making sure she knew. And I just feel like that made me so upset to see medical malpractice like that. And you know what? I'm gonna make it even woker. You know what's crazy? That's like a very common experience for a lot of black people. Let's talk about black women. Let's talk about hospitals and like the pregnancy crisis that we have going on with hospitals not wanting to treat black women. Yes, I'm making this woke, but whatever. Um, yeah. Also upsetting that the boys were arrested when they clearly needed help. I feel like addicts need compassion too. You can't just treat them like they're crazy, and that's not ridiculous to say that. Um, yeah. They just arrested them without medical help, and I thought that was fucked. Okay, that's the last page. Yeah. Super sad movie. That was breaking my heart. But yeah, that's my media rant. Oh my god, you can see my daughter in this. That's so embarrassing. Yeah, I painted that. I'm gonna give you all a tour of my notebook. This is the front, and this is the back. I might paint the inside one of these days, but I've been writing a lot, which I'm super grateful for. It's good for your brain. Hopefully, I won't get Alzheimer's. I feel like that's an undisclosed. I want to see the link in like Alzheimer's and like not using your brain, and like people who are dependent on ChatGPT and AI. I feel like thinking critically helps you in the long run because it's helping you use your brain. And when you're using stuff in AI, you're not using your brain. But yeah, I got sidetracked. But this is how much I've been writing just this week alone. I'm gonna have to get a new notebook soon. Very sad about that. Honestly, I might order it in advance because I don't want to like have no money and then I need a new one because I'm gonna be writing a lot. This is not gonna be my first or last media and CD rant just because it's a break. But anyway, I don't know if anybody's watching, but if you watched and you made it here, I love you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you.